Welcome to remote schtasks execution. This is yet another remote execution technique, and again, having each of these as a tool in your toolbox is going to help you so much in operations. I've been in situations when sc.exe didn't work, mmc didn't work, and I had to use schtasks to remotely execute on the target machine. So if you have all these tools in your toolbox, you're going to be way more successful in your red team operations. So jumping right in, we have our schtasks playbook on the right over here out of the RTFM. On the left side, we have our command line. I'm currently running as Chicago Sarah Austin DA. So we do have legit credentials for the domain controller. Just to test that though, let's do a little check here. DC1, $C. And yes, it still works. Her token is working great. Now let's jump right in. We're gonna do a schtasks remote execute to remotely execute that upnpcont.exe. Again, like the previous videos, if you want to see me actually set up the sliver infrastructure and do the remote execution and click over to the scenario video that's in this section of videos. Now, the first thing you want to do is this schtasks create command right over here. Let's go ahead, let's copy this over to our playbook, and then we'll talk through it before we set it up here. So schtasks create, we're obviously going to be creating a new schtasks item, and then we're going to do whack ru system. Whack ru system makes sure that this task runs with the topmost privileges it possibly can, which on Windows is system privileges. And then we have sc logon over here. This is actually not needed. We're going to be triggering this task manually. However, we do still have to give it a whack sc option in order to get the task to create on the target system. Moving on along, we have the whack tn. That is the name of the task that is going to be created. Office updater sounds pretty awesome, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave that. Whack tr, we need to give it the path to our target binary. And then whack s obviously is the remote system IP address we want to create the task on. So let's get those modifications done here. We're gonna go chai dc1. The file path is gonna be c windows system32 upnpcont.exe. And everything else looks really good with this command. Let's go ahead, fire it off on the target system. The scheduled task has been created successfully. Awesome. Let me go back to the RTFM. We'll see what's next. We definitely want to query the task to make sure it was installed correctly. So let me type that one out here. We'll do schtasks query tn office updater. The whack fo list makes this a lot more verbose and easier to read. So definitely don't forget that. We'll do the whack v, whack s, chai dc1, and we'll hit enter. And then like I said, a lot easier to read here. We can see the office updater task is installed correctly on the host. It will show the author that created it, right? I'm using the Sarah Austin DA credentials. And then of course the target path that we want to run. In this case, C Windows System32, upnpcont.exe. The run as user is system, so we will be running this with system privileges, which is great. So now we're good to go. We just need to trigger the task manually. Like I said, we're not relying on this to kick off at a specific time when the user logs in. We want to kick it off right now. So let's come over here. We'll type in schtasks, whack run, give it the tn office updater, chai dc1. We should get some type of output. Yeah, perfect. Success, attempted to run the scheduled task office updater. So at this point, we should be good to go. If you are using this for lateral movement, I would go ahead and delete the task when you're done with it. That way there's nothing for any type of defender to find, right? So we're gonna go delete, office updater, chai dc1, successfully deleted. If you're paranoid like me, you can always do a query, right? So we'll go tn, office updater, fo list, whack v, chai dc1. Cannot find the file specified, so we know the service was removed off of that host. And then lastly, we just want to see if the task ran successfully. So we're going to do our task list, pipe define string, look for upnpcont, right? So it's running right now. And I think I forgot to clean up one of my prior remote execution techniques. So we have two here. We have the upnpcont for Sarah Austin DA. And then we have our schtask right here running as system. Worked great. We created the task, we deleted the task, we're cleaned up, we're good to go. Well, that's a wrap for this specific video. Another tool for your toolbox. I hope this comes in handy in various operations that you're jumping into. Feel free to click through to the next video if you want to see service manipulation used to execute an actual sliver implant. And it's actually pretty cool. We're gonna have a sliver implant on the domain controller that calls out to the workstation. That way the DC isn't calling out to the internet. The DC is gonna be tunneled through our Phyllis Snyder workstation. Pretty cool stuff. See you in the next one.